Hi, everybody, and welcome to this CPD Business Building webinar. Today, we're going to be talking with Mary Cravets. Have I pronounced that right, Mary?
It's Cravets.
Cravets, brilliant. And she's going to be sharing with you how to magnetize your message. So she's a client generation strategist and international speaker, and she shares so much amazing content. So you really do want to get your pen and paper out for her. She helps entrepreneurs significantly grow their businesses without working nights and weekends. So using her methods, the majority of her clients quickly increase their income by 50% or more. So her clients have been global, including the former CFO of Microsoft North America, thought leaders in the coaching industry, and rising stars in a variety of other professions. She's a little bit of snippet, because we like to do snippets about our speakers. She's an avid roller coaster enthusiast, obsessed with otters, which I think is adorable, and volunteers time to her local NAACP branch. And what's the NAACP, Mary?
It's a very, very old or established organization called the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. So the language of the organization is a bit old and archaic, but it is, yeah, very well established.
Brilliant, fantastic. What a great cause. That's brilliant. So I'll ask for you all to keep yourselves on mute. As I say, if you can stay on camera as speakers, it's so much nicer when we've got faces to names. Where Mary will take you through the process of the training, and then if you've got any questions you want to ask at the end, and she may or may not open up in the session as well if she wants to answer any questions specifically, but I will field the questions. If you've got any issues about techie, just message me privately and I will respond to you throughout. So you might see me go on and off camera where I'm replying to people, so I'm not putting anyone off. Other than that, we've got another 55 minutes together, and you will have the opportunity to ask questions, but just get ready to take loads of notes. So I know I've got my pad and pen ready as well. So I'm going to
let me check in on something. I got the note that it was 90 minutes.
That's fine. Okay, that's just
me. So
yeah,
how many people are only here for 55 minutes and or for an hour? Okay, anybody else?
90, mostly 90. Yeah.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get through the content within that hour for everyone. I'll get some Q&A, but we are going to, I'll leave the last half hour for more in-depth Q&A, and we can try. Okay, that way the people who are just here for an hour.
Perfect.
Thank you. Awesome.
They can help with it. Okay, I will hand over to you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for having me here today, and I am going to jump right in. So today we are talking about how to magnify your messaging and how to explain coaching in order to attract great clients. So what I'd like you to do to start with is I would like you to imagine that you find yourself in a group of people and now you need to introduce yourself. And I want you to think if you can relate to any of these thoughts running through your head as the pressure to introduce yourself is bearing down on you. Don't be pushy. Don't look desperate. Oh my gosh, did someone say coach? Don't blow it. Don't say too much. Don't leave any details out. Or maybe your brain starts freezing up. Can anybody relate or has related to one? Okay, so there's laughing and nodding. Yes. Well, the fact is, it's frustrating. I know, because you are accomplished, you are smart, and I'm here today with some structure that will help you better express the value of your gifts and your brilliance so you can get more clients, you can earn more money and make a bigger impact with less effort. Now, today we're going to focus on messaging and explaining coaching. And it's important for you to be clear about the purpose behind what we're doing today. We're not just going to find pretty words that sound cute or clever, but rather this is a piece of a bigger puzzle of client generation. Now, it's an important piece, but I also want to equip you with that bigger picture perspective on client generation, so I'm really serving you at the highest level. So the place I want to start is here. If you aren't getting all the new clients and business you want, there's usually just a problem in one of three areas. Either number one, you don't have a comprehensive client generation plan. Without a plan, you're likely feeling busy instead of productive, maybe like you're spinning your wheels. or there's something getting in the way of implementation. If you're getting distracted by bright, shiny objects and you aren't building momentum, it's often an implementation problem. Or number 3, you need to improve lead generation. And this generally means you need to work on maximizing a current strategy or building skills in a new strategy. Otherwise, you'll be dabbling in too many things and you won't get traction. So that's it. High level. Plan, implement, lead generation. Now you're going to get a massive shift in the effectiveness of your messaging today, but bigger picture, looking at the growth of your business and client generation, the most important thing today is to get clear about which of these things is your priority. So how are we going to get there today? Here is what we are going to cover. Number 1, when and how to explain coaching. Number 2, you're going to create a magnetic 30-second introduction so prospects quickly say, I need you. And number 3, you'll get the 6 essential elements of an effective client generation plan that makes it easier to attract clients, grow your income, and make a bigger impact on the world. Now, there's a lot to learn, and because I believe in the spirit of generosity and having fun, I'm going to, throughout our conversation, give us opportunities to provide additional training resources as needs arise, and I'll be doing a drawing at the end for fun. And I'm going to end and do the drawing at the hour mark. So all of those of you who only blocked out an hour, you will be included. I will take questions after I do the second teaching point. We're going to do about 10 minutes of questions, and then we'll do them for the last half hour after the hour mark, and really dive into maybe retooling and working on each of your introductions. So that's the introduction, or that's the housekeeping. So here's what I want you to do now. Open up your chat window. I have a question for you. So open up your chat window, go ahead and get your hands on the keyboard. I'm going to ask a question in just a second, and I just want you to give me the first thing that comes to mind, not an essay, just a few words. What is the first thing that comes to mind? So here's the question. Why is this topic important to you? Why is this topic important to you? You have plenty of things you could be doing with your time today, but you are here. So why is this important? To earn money and freedom. Wonderful. Freedom, one of my top 2 values. Yes. I would like to reach more people, to help people see they need me. Yes. Dominique, there's going to be a really interesting perspective. I want you to listen for convincing and proving. It's an interesting conversation. You always need a refresher to help more people. I love it. So you are in the right place. This is that wonderful combination of, getting out there to help people while building a business and sustaining your own family, business, income. It's never either or. It's all of it pulling together. So I do want to share with you, whenever I hear a presenter, I always want to know, is this something they read in a book, or is this theory, or where's this coming from? So just to let you know where this content is coming from. This is from my in the trenches experience. Right now, I run a great training and coaching company. I've owned it for 11 years now. We're on track for the 500,000 mark, but in my first couple of years, it looked nothing like this. I was running in dozens of different directions. I was totally excited about what I was doing. I couldn't explain it if I tried. I was not charging what I was worth, and I had no real plan of how to attract clients consistently and reach my goals. And it took less than 2 years to completely burn out and be diagnosed with adrenal exhaustion. Suddenly, I found myself with just 4 hours of energy a week to run my business. And as I was trying to figure out how to navigate the crisis, a question popped into my head. And this is the first thing I'm going to recommend you write down. The question that popped into my head was, what's working? What's working? I didn't have time or energy to chase down what Facebook was doing with its algorithm, or what the latest greatest marketing trend was. I needed to know that whatever I put my very limited energy into would actually produce results. Now, starting with that one question, my business started to grow as my health improved. And over time, it developed into this bigger system. And I have to ask, are you seeing the the gears image right now. I want to make sure I'm sharing the correct screen. Could someone put in the chat, please? Yes, great, thank you. All right, so, and this is the system that has helped me double my business several times over. It's the reason my clients consistently increase their businesses, and it's what I'm going to share with you today. And from all of these experiences, there are 3 things that I have learned for a fact. Number 1, anyone can create a steady stream of great clients. I was sick when I did it first time. Anyone can do it. Number 2, you've got to customize. To win in business, you cannot follow a one-size-fits-all cookie-cutter approach and succeed. So I never ask that of you. And number 3, when you do it right, building business can be a lot easier than most people make it. With the right system, bringing your brilliance to the table, you can stop the overwhelm and accomplish more while doing less. So let's jump right in. I want to start with when and how to explain coaching. I want you to consider this question and just answer it for yourself. When do you think you should explain coaching? When do you think you should explain coaching? Just think it through. Think of when that you think that is. And if you have your answer, I want you to reflect back on something. I want you to reflect back on the last time you brought your car in for repair. When you went to the garage, was it your goal to learn how to become an auto mechanic? Probably not. In fact, if the person fixing your car started to explain what diagnostics they were running, what tools they were going to use, I bet your eyes just kind of glazed over, didn't they? Yeah. And then you perked up when they said, we'll have this fixed by tomorrow at 5 p.m. And would you like a loaner car for the day? Because the bottom line is you don't care about the method, you care about the outcome and how you're going to be taken care of, right? And this applies to explaining coaching too. But so many times I see coaches jumping in and explaining coaching right off the bat. But the fact is, in general, your ideal client does not want to do your job. So they don't need to know how you do it or what coaching is all about or what certifications you hold. They want to know, can you solve their problems? So you want to hold off on explaining coaching, and I'm going to explain what to do instead. So we're going to start with, okay, you're going to get excited now, a vocabulary lesson. Yay! It's important though, and I am a word nerd. Words matter. So let's talk about what you say depends on when and how, and what you say depends on who you're talking to. So let's start with some of the who's you will encounter. Number 1 is a stranger. This one's pretty obvious. This is someone you know nothing about. Number 2 is a suspect. Now, this is a definition I know will make a huge difference for you in your thinking. A suspect is someone who you suspect could use your services. They have not self-identified, but you think they could use your services. And a prospect is someone who's curious or have self-identified as wanting your services. And a client is someone who has paid you. So what do you say when you're dealing with each of these different kinds of people? When you're dealing with the first 2, you only talk about your business from the perspective of your ideal client. You're not explaining coaching at this point. I'm going to repeat that. You only talk about your business from the perspective of your ideal client. You'll learn how to do this when you craft your introduction today. Now, when someone identifies as a prospect, the priority is to invite them to a sales call. You may call it a discovery call or a chemistry call, but that's what you want to be doing. And in that conversation, you're facilitating their discovery of what they need to do in order to achieve what they want. So it's still about them. It's still not explaining coaching. Explaining coaching comes quite late in most conversations. And then, so when does explaining coaching come in? My recommendation in general is after you've had your sales conversation process, you're both clear that you're what they're looking for, you're a match, then you describe coaching briefly. And I'll give you an example, and I'll even copy it into the chat in case it's something that would be that resonates for you and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. So here's how it might sound. Here's what I think you're going to find really exciting. The coaching process is not about loading you up with lots of advice, but rather working with you to dig deep within yourself to discover the answers that are most profoundly true for you. You don't have to dig deeply into the method of coaching, but instead relate what it is to what they want. Okay, so now why is knowing the when and how of it all so important? It's so that when you're meeting people where they are, moving the conversation forward quickly, but appropriately. And so you don't feel pushy and awkward. And this is what often holds people back. And I can give you an example. When you are giving the wrong thing, saying the wrong thing to the wrong person, it's incredibly awkward. And by the way, it's also completely unprofitable. So I'm going to let you experience what it feels like to be approached the wrong way. So I'm going to have you go ahead and open up the chat again. And I want to share with you the wrong approach. I'm going to paint the scenario. Then I'm going to ask you just to type in the first couple of words that come to mind on how it makes you feel. So this is scenario number 1. You are an acquaintance who does not need my services. We've met at a few meetings, we know each other's businesses, but you have expressed zero interest in my services. Can you step into that mindset? Okay. Now experience what it feels like when I come up to you with the wrong approach. Hi there, Gigi. You know what? I have seen you struggling to get clients and I know I could help. I've been doing this for 11 years now. I've helped the former CFO of Microsoft double his business, so I know I could help you in your business. Why don't we set up an appointment and explore how I could help you? How does that feel? In the chat. Desperate, yes. Pushy, offensive, desperate, pushy, yuck. Too much in my face. Lots of assumptions. Yes. Oh, hi, Erin. Wow, it's been ages. Yeah, it just doesn't work. What is happening here is this is a suspect. This is someone I think might be able to use my services, but I approached him like a prospect. And it was a terrible approach at that. I would never recommend this kind of approach ever. But the base assumption is I'm approaching them like a prospect, like it's someone who is interested in my services. Okay, so let's do scenario number 2. Scenario number 2 is you are someone who has decided you want my services. I want you to imagine that you've tried a million things in your business, you've met me and you're like, okay, finally, this is someone who gets it, they're real, and you trust your gut. And in your mind, you're thinking, yes, I got to get moving. You've made the decision to invest in yourself and you're going to work with me. You're kind of excited, you're a little nervous, you're psyched up, and you say to me, I think I want to hire you, Mary. And my response to you is, okay, great. Here's my email. Just go ahead and get in touch. How does that feel? Disappointed, careless, not personal, disappointing. Yeah. Now, the reason people do this a lot of times is because they don't want to appear pushy. And so they go to the other end of the spectrum. But here's something that I work with on my clients all the time, or something I put out there with my clients as something to keep in mind. If someone says they want to hire you, believe them and make it easy. If someone says they want to hire you, believe them and make it easy. Because what I just did was just, like, as someone said, careless, can't be bothered. Absolutely. Absolutely. What you say and when you say it matters. It matters for your own confidence and clarity, and it makes a big, big impact on your bottom line. And let me give you an example of this that you might be able to relate to. The fear of being pushy is widespread, rampant. I have it, most people have it. And this is Jared, and he's a former client of mine. He had been a consultant for years, never had to find his own clients because he worked for another company. And when he transitioned to business ownership, he found himself totally frustrated, totally resistant to the complicated problem of getting clients. And it was partly because it felt too pushy. It felt weird because before, when he worked for a company, it was easy to sell services because it was like this third party. But then when he was working for himself, now he felt like he had to run around promoting himself, like, hire me, I'm so fabulous, hire me, let me talk about me a little bit more. And obviously, that's just not how most coaches are wired to do that kind of thing. And Jared was no exception. So what we did is we built a different understanding on how to promote his business and how to do his messaging, like you'll learn here today, plus developed his overall client generation strategy. And as a very new business owner, he was able to enroll a new client within his first 30 days, a good sized client too. So this can make a profound difference. So let's get your messaging upgraded now. So let's look at where this links into the bigger picture. So messaging is so critical. It weaves through and incorporates all of the elements of client generation and is ultimately geared towards speeding up the process of getting into sales conversations with prospective clients. So before we go into the introduction formula, let's start with the goal of the introduction I'm going to teach today. The goal of the introduction is to discover immediately if your ideal client is standing in front of you. The goal of the introduction I'm going to teach is just to discover immediately if your ideal client is standing in front of you. You may have learned other formulas, other approaches, and what I know is every single one of them is valid, but you have to understand the goal of it. Mine is to make the client generation process as quick as possible and discover immediately if your ideal client is standing in front of you. Now, notice this doesn't say make everyone understand what you do or explain your coaching and your expertise. And this is really important. I want you to hear this. The goal is not about pushing or convincing or proving or persuading, which for most people is an uncomfortable place to step into. And if your gut is saying don't do that, your gut is on track. So to achieve the goal of discovering if your ideal client is standing in front of you, your introduction must mirror what your ideal client is thinking and feeling about their problem that you can help them solve. So we start with your ideal client before we move on to the formula itself. So your ideal client is someone who wants your top program, product, or service that you offer. And I have two key tips here. Number one is your ideal client description never starts with the words, I'd be willing to work with. Never starts with those words. Have to start with the ideal. You're not trying to include everyone, just the ideal. The second is your ideal client description doesn't include the certifications you hold, the assessments you use, or the coaching school you attended. So let's do an ideal client exercise right now. If you don't have paper out yet, and now is definitely the time. So let's start with, who do you work with? This is the first question you're going to answer. Who do you work with? And this is a very general description. It is, what is it? Women professionals, doctors, business owners, the manufacturing industry. Who is it you work with? General. And I'm going to ask you to answer these questions in two ways. Number one is just first thing that comes to your head. And the second is schedule some time to dive deeper and do a little more brainstorming. But to make today effective, just put down, don't overthink it, just put down the first thing that comes to mind. So who do you work with? Number two, how do they feel right now? Are they feeling frustrated? Are they overwhelmed? Are they excited? Are they anxious? How are they feeling right now about what they're dealing with that you can help them with? Number three is, what is their main problem? What problem do they have that is top of mind? It's keeping them up at night or keeping them from getting what they truly want. This is, of course, in the arena that you can help them with. What is their main problem? Number 4, what service, solution, or outcome do they want? If they were standing in line at Starbucks, they might say, wow, I just wish I could lose 10 pounds. Oh, I wish I could. Okay, probably no one would say that to a complete stranger. Okay, bad example. It might sound like, oh, if I just had a few more hours in the day, or oh, if I could just get my team to stop acting like 5-year-olds. What's that thing they just complain about? And they say, if I could just have this solved, everything would be better. Surface, solution, or outcome do they want? And number 4 is when they achieve that surface outcome, what is the deeper thing they want? You know, if I could just stop getting if I could get my team to stop acting like 5-year-olds, maybe I could really work on getting that promotion I want. So number 5, what is the deeper solution or outcome they want? And once you are clear about these pieces of your ideal client, then it is a simple fill in the blank structure. The numbers over on the right-hand side, those correspond with the questions, of course. I'm hired by blank who are blank with blank and who want blank so they can blank. I'm sure it's crystal clear to you now, but just in case it isn't, I'm going to give some examples and then we're going to break for some questions. So here are some examples. Number 1, I'm an executive leadership coach, incredibly bland and hard to relate to. I'm hired by newly promoted first-time managers who are feeling in over their heads with their new management role and who want to create high-performing teams so they can fast-track their next promotion. Now, if you are this person who is just promoted and you're feeling over your head and you really want to succeed, this is going to make you sit up, take notice, and say, how do you do that? Or that's me. Identifying your prospect immediately. All right, here's another snoozer. I'm a bookkeeper. Woohoo! I'm hired by businesses that are overwhelmed with having gone through a growth spurt and who want someone else to handle all the details that are falling through the cracks so they can focus on taking the business to the next level. This is actually an example from one of my clients, and within 30 days, after just doing the same things, just using a different introduction, his referrals doubled. Okay, one more example. I'm a business coach. Okay, I've slipped into a coma now. How about this instead? I'm hired by business owners who are frustrated with client generation and who want to significantly grow their business so they can stop working nights and weekends. Do you hear the difference? It's all about painting that crystal clear picture of your ideal client. All right, so I am going to pull down the share. And we're going to have about 10 minutes for Q&A. So let's see, 26. All right. What clarifying questions would be helpful here? Or does anyone want to take their first draft out for a spin and we can play with it?
Would it be worth putting that slide back, Mary, so people can use that as the template?
Yeah, absolutely. There we go. All right. So I need to get your little faces on my screen. Okay. What questions do you have about this? Or comments, or gosh, Mary, someone else taught me this completely differently. Can you help me bridge that gap?
Eileen's put some wording in the chat for you.
Oh, I'm juggling too many screens. Thank you. Let's see. Aileen says, I help women over their 30s overcome their stress, anxiety, and overwhelm caused by perfectionism so they can find inner peace and contentment through boosting their self-esteem. Solid first draft, Aileen. Way to put it out there. Awesome. Yay. Okay. If someone came to you and they were 25, would you be willing to work with them? Would you mind unmuting, Aileen? Can we have the conversation? Oh, no?
Yes, there we are.
Oh,
sorry,
you.
I was just writing instead. That's a tough one. Yeah, I mean, I think I would, but it's not my ideal client. I do, like today, for example, a a young guy at 28, he called me to have an introductory meeting, and at the end he was like, oh my god, I already feel better, can I book please? So
Yes.
so yes, of course I won't say, oh, I don't work with you, but they're
Perfect.
ideal clients. Yeah.
Great. So, and it's a question that is important, because some of the facts of your ideal client don't have to go into your introduction. So like your women over 30s, what that informs more in the whole client generation plan is where you go to find them. Okay, so you would not go to a Boy Scout convention. Obviously, that would be ludicrous. But going to a conference for business women, professional women, that would make sense. So this is just an example of, this is about your ideal client, but it isn't something that necessarily needs to go into the introduction.
I see. So yeah. I wouldn't need to say I help women, but do I say then I help professional women overcome their stress, or I don't say anything at all?
You know what, probably a lot of people that I work with who mostly prefer working with women, they do say women, they claim this space, it helps them focus, and they are still approached by the men who want to work with them, because you carry that energy that some people are going to want, and they're going to ask you anyway. So this isn't about excluding people. This is mostly about making sure you're elevating and attracting the right people. So you might be, let's see.
So you recommend not to put professional women or over their 30s there?
Let me give you a go at what, let me give you an example of what I would probably do. And by the way, I'm hired by is instead of I help, I'm hired by.
Mm-hmm. I'm
hired by women who are experiencing. So what this is a tiny little thing, but I'm gonna tweak it for you. And that is, you're talking about what you do for them instead of what they're experiencing. And you want it to be about their experiencing. You are describing what they're going through right now. So they're like, oh my gosh, it's like she's reading my journal. Okay, so it might sound like I'm hired by women who are experiencing stress and anxiety and overwhelm, a lot of it coming from perfectionism. And what they want is that feeling of peace and contentment, and get their self-esteem up so they can. So that's the only thing you actually could pare down your concepts. You could probably put stress, anxiety, or overwhelm, one of those three. Mm-hmm. Peace or contentment, one of those two, don't put both. And you might say self-esteem, but my question is, does your ideal client know they need to boost their self-esteem? Is that the ultimate goal, or is it so they can accomplish something?
Yeah, so they can go on having a fulfilling and enjoyment in life,
Yeah.
So that's rather than self-esteem. So perhaps so that they
actually
can have a happy and enjoyable, they can enjoy the rest of their lives.
Yeah. And or it might sound like something like, so they can have the confidence to tackle bigger challenges, to take on bigger risks. I mean, if that's your ideal client, they're gonna be like, yes, that's what I've been talking about. Okay, good. Thank you for putting that out there. I'm gonna keep going.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I hope people were hearing concepts, like here's how to apply some of these concepts. Okay. Ginger, again, high five. Thanks for putting it out there. I'm hired by businesses who are looking to increase visibility for their product or services with events, PR, outreach, marketing, or branding, and who want to take their business to the next level so they can increase sales and awareness. Okay, let me see, where's Ginger? Ginger, hi.
I'm here, and I'm sorry I'm not on camera, but I'm in Los Angeles and it is top of the morning and I'm looking crazy.
You're in the same time zone as me right now.
Right. Okay. Well, and you look fabulous at this time of the morning. I don't.
That's my job. That's my job. I got it. Okay, thank you is what I meant to say. So Ginger, my recommendation for you is, first of all, you use the dirty word.
What dirty word?
The dirty word is or. The dirty word
Oh,
in an introduction. This is a good concept. You see, this is why I love having people bring their real life examples, because there's so much detail to this, and it's easier to bring it up when I see it. So
okay.
the word or.
Mhm.
When you are giving your introduction, you're taking people down a path of clarity, and you want them to go down a single path. So by the end, they're crystal clear if this is them. The word or, I kind of think of it as like your brain and attention marches down one path, and that's what you want. And when you give people the word or, you start asking them to march down
Choose.
2 paths.
Ah,
Okay.
okay.
So with yours, I'm hired by business who are looking. So what's their problem? They want to increase visibility, but why? What's wrong with
Well,
what
I
they're
mean,
doing now?
generally they have a new product, or they're recognizing someone, or they're, like they're trying to, bring forth a topic, let's say in a conference or something like that, and they want more people to know about it. For example, I do this big menopause conference called Wise Pause. So it's like, these are women who have issues with hormones and perimenopause and
Okay,
menopause.
let's pull back from the
Oh, I'm sorry.
that specific.
Specificity.
This is good.
Okay.
And I'm just gonna jump in here. Okay. So it's less about like the details of each conference. It's more zoom out.
Okay.
And so I'm going to give you a couple of examples of what the problem might be. So the problem might be that I'm hired by businesses who have a big message, a big mission, and they're feeling a little frustrated that they can't get it out there in a bigger way. So the first part is totally about what their like kind of emotional experience with their problem is, not what they want yet. Okay, because you pulled some of what they want into the first part, and we just want what's the problem, what's the pain point. That's how some people talk about it, and how are they feeling about it. Okay, and then the second part. Now let me ask you, do your ideal clients know they need someone to help them with events, PR, marketing, or branding? Do they know that they need that to solve their problem?
Most of the times they do, especially when it comes to events. Yeah.
Okay. So this is another concept I'm going to put forward for everyone. This is really important. If your ideal client knows that they need your profession as a solution to their problem, you mention it. If they don't, you don't. So that means 99.9% of coaches do not put coaching into their introduction, because 99.9% of people do not know that a coach is the solution to their problem. They are just very intimately acquainted with the problem. Okay. In your case, Ginger, putting that in there, they want the marketing, they want the brand, having that in the introduction would make sense because they're already looking for you.
I see.
So I need to stop with the Q&A and go over back to the content to make sure I get through everything in the hour and the drawing and all of that. And then for those of you who can stay on past, we're going to dive into the rest of the people in the chat and make sure to address all the good stuff. So let me, y'all do this like all the screens. All right, flipping through, let's get over to, here we go. 6 essential elements of a client generation plan that makes it easier to attract clients, grow your income, and make a bigger impact in the world. Wow, yeah, let's do that. Okay. So let's step back for a sec, because messaging is a piece of the puzzle. But how do you proactively create more opportunities? Client generation is the point. Like I said at the beginning, this isn't about creating just pretty words. It's about having the words create business, and that needs to happen within a larger system. So I'm going to check in on this. Go ahead and open up your chat. I'm going to ask you a question. This one's a yes or no. This one's super easy. Yes or no? Do you have a written client generation plan? Written client generation plan. No, no, very common, not alone. Yes, needs refreshing. Yes. Okay, so my clients are saying yes, by the way. So yay. No, no, so. Okay. Most people don't have one because they've never thought of the concept before. Most people learn a little here, they learn a little there, and they never pull it together. And that's why there's a lot of wasted time and questioning, am I doing the right things? So what we're going to do today is I'm going to define each of these essential elements. And I'm going to simplify this. I'm going to get you really focused on the core of this because the rest is more about my programs. So I recommend you write these down, and then you're going to assess how clearly defined each of these are in your business on a scale of 1 to 10, where 1 is low and 10 is high. Don't overthink this. It's a simple assessment to understand where you are right now with client generation, your client generation plan, because there's things that are probably working great in your business already, and there's things that need to be tuned up, and you're going to discover which is which right now. So the first piece is values and vision. Values and vision. Yes, this is part of your client generation, because when you have your values and vision and your why completely clear, you create conviction. And this gives you the courage to ask to be paid what you're worth and the willingness to put yourself out there, even if you risk rejection. So are you clear about your values, vision, and goals on a scale of 1 to 10? The second piece is, and this is something you don't have to put in the chat. This is for you. This is your evaluation. So number 2 is pricing and packaging. Now this one's pretty obvious, but it's important. Is your pricing structured so it is really honoring your expertise, you're owning your value? Is it structured so you're paying yourself decently, generously, and not just rolling everything back into the business? So the bottom line is, are you clear and confident that your pricing is where it needs to be for you to reach your financial goals? Number 3 is your ideal client. So when describing your ideal client, as I mentioned before, we never start it with I'd be willing to work with. Are you clear about who is ideal? Who can you serve at the highest level, and who will pay you at the highest level? And you commit to that as kind of the keystone to everything else. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how clear are you about your ideal client, who they are, what they're thinking, and where you can find them on a scale of 1 to 10. Now messaging, of course, you just kicked some ass on doing some messaging, kicking that off. It takes what you know about your ideal client and it translates it into words everywhere they show up in your business, your website, your talks, your social media, your 30-second introduction. And the key, of course, is to communicate the value of what you do quickly so the people you meet hire you faster. So when someone says, what do you do? Does your ideal client quickly say, I need that? On a scale of 1 to 10, rate the magnetism of your messaging right now. All right, number 5, lead generation. So lead generation, do you have a set of specific activities that you do on a consistent basis that you are confident bring in the number of leads you want, so you don't have to think about it? Ideally, a lead generation plan is a checklist of things that you don't hate to do, understanding where to go, what to say, and what to do. So if you're not 100% clear on what qualifies as lead generation, think about this. Are you consistently putting yourself or your team in a position to make offers and ask for business? On a scale of 1 to 10, how confident are you about your ability to bring in new leads consistently? And then last but not least is sales and enrollment. Can you confidently convert a prospect into a paying client? This means having a sales process in place that removes the guesswork of how do I say it? How do I get them to see the value? How do I explain but not over explain what I do? How do I put my pricing out there confidently? So rate your ability to close the sale once someone says they are interested. All right, so what do you do with this assessment? Anytime something changes, you want to take a look at this and do another evaluation. So there's 2 times to use it. One is like right now, just take a look at this. This should point out to you areas in your client generation system that you need to focus on. So instead of, God forbid, reinventing the wheel because you're like, this thing just isn't working, now you can pinpoint what needs tweaking. The second point is when something changes, as I said before. So I did this evaluation on March 12th, 2020, because the world changed significantly, and I was ready to reinvent. And the fact was I needed to change 2 things in this system. Can you imagine how much time and energy and money I would have taken to reinvent when I only needed to change a few things? So this is an evaluation to come back to over and over to make sure you've got the essentials dialed in and you're not just inventing things and staying busy. And I want to give you kind of an extreme example of what this can look like. I remember when I met Georgia, she's this amazing coach from Australia. She was skeptical that simplifying down to a system like this would work because all she saw online is that you have to do social media and lead magnets and funnels. And she was pretty much ready to quit because 1, she hated being online all the time. And 2, she invested a ton of money trying to do all these things and was just tired. But she was willing to let it be easier. We worked together for about 6 months. We simplified, we really focused on her messaging and her speaking. And just one of the results she experienced, she posted this in our group, and she said she booked 13 calls from a speaking gig, and she's got more speaking on the books. And she's now, how do you scale that business? This is the problem I want people to have. How do I manage all the business that's coming in? That is a high class problem. Now, right now, I bet you're just sitting there going, wow, I feel so warm and fuzzy for for Georgia. But what about you? What do you need to do in order to pull everything together and make sure that you're applying this past our time here today? So let's talk about creating some lasting impact. And again, remember, I'm going to wrap up the content right at the top of the hour. I'm going to do the drawing, and then we're going to have more Q&A. So if you've got something in the chat, we will get to probably everybody. But thinking forward outside of our time today, the first thing is, what is one bite-sized action that you can take and put on your calendar and commit to? Something that you discovered here today, something that will move the needle in your business. So I'm going to give you a minute to identify that bite-sized action. Okay, now bite-sized is great, but if you are anything like me, you probably wrote down more than one thing, didn't you? Yes. Okay, I get it. You want more. So this brings us to the second step, where we're going to get into the creative centers of your mind and get that part of your brain on board. So do this. Put your pen down, pen, stylus, keyboard, whatever. Take your hands off of whatever you're doing. And I invite you to close your eyes for a second and take a nice deep breath. And I want you to imagine having a steady stream of great clients coming in. These are clients who pay you what you're worth. You're making a difference. You are known for your brilliance and your expertise. And to attract these clients, you have a plan. And it's not just any plan, it's a plan full of things you love to do, things that are simple and clear, authentic, and never pushy. You know what to do. You know where to go. You know what to say. To take prospects from that first meeting to signing on the bottom line as as a client, and you do this with confidence and with consistency and with ease. Take another nice deep breath. Open your eyes. Is that a vision you can get behind? Yes, I hope so. So now you're feeling inspired. You're like, yes, okay, I got to speak from my ideal client's perspective. I have this vision. What's the challenge with making changes? We're busy. You're fired up, but how do you keep this level of focus and inspiration week after week so you really start seeing results? So at this point, this brings us to the third and last point. I recommend you identify something really important. When thinking about what you want and need in your business, who do you have in your corner who has accomplished what you want to accomplish and is available to help when you need it most? Now, some of you may have the support you need, but for those of you who don't, I invite you to schedule a call to explore the possibility of working together further with me. And it's a great option if you've been feeling like you're spinning your wheels, you're not sure why, or you've been looking for some kind of support, but can't really picture what that would look like. So these are I call them breakthrough calls. They're complimentary, and they're reserved for you if you're tired of feeling like your work isn't paying off at the level you want it to, and you're serious about doing what it takes to change. You know it's time, you're decisive, you're willing to invest in yourself. So if that sounds like you, what you can expect on the call is that I will walk you through a process to identify your biggest opportunities for growth. Then we'll decide together, does it make sense to work together further through one of my programs to help you maximize those opportunities? I'm so happy to take this time personally with you because working together, it's an investment. I want us both to be 100% confident that it is the right fit for you. So the next step, if you'd like to get on my calendar, is simply to go to breakthroughcall.biz. I made sure to put times on my calendar that are not at 2 a.m. over in Europe. You're welcome. So you can go to breakthroughcall.biz, pick a time, one last thing to think about. You can just do that. Puts you first in line. One less thing to think about. And if you're thinking about it, you're like, okay, I'm just jotting that down. Thanks, Mary. I'll get to it later. I know that you're towards the end of your day. I don't want this to fall off your radar. So I'm going to make sure all this clarity and good intention doesn't get lost in the shuffle. When you book your call today, you'll receive a gift to support you in the next phase of your business. And it is my digital copy of my book of Strategy and Encouragement for the Impact-Driven Entrepreneur. It is a perfect read for those days where you find yourself seriously contemplating becoming a Starbucks barista. We've all been there. Okay, so just in the nick of time, I am going to do a drawing. Yay! I'm actually, and we do this, we actually ship a copy of my book to the winner, wherever you are. And in order to get into the drawing for this, you can just send me an email, and everybody's going to get the gift of the first chapter. The other thing I want to give you access to, because I was hearing the little rumblings of this in some of what people were talking about, is the top two ways that coaches get clients are through referrals and speaking. And I have really focused courses that I'm going to give you access to that give you the nitty gritty, the templates, the emails, everything that I have done and my clients do to attract new clients. It's referral generation simple, made simple. That's the first course. And the second one is called Launch Your Six-Figure Speaking Strategy. Also, if you would like, I think this is at a time that won't be the middle of your night. I'm doing a class next month about how to create really compelling talk titles so you get more bookings and get more clients from those bookings. So I've just got this nice little collection of goodies for you so that we can continue the conversation, so you can get all continue the learning, and so that you oh my gosh, I just got distracted by the timer. I'm so sorry. I was like, I've got to get this. I've got to make sure to wrap up for those people who have to leave. So if you would like to be in the drawing, if you would like to receive all the free resources, send an email to me right now, mary@simplygetclients.com. And in the subject line, if you put the word smile, that's how my team knows how to get you all set up. because I know that more speaking, more referrals, more clients, more impact will make you smile. I'm going to give you just a minute to do that. And I'm going to, let's see, go into, this is so dangerous. Go into your email in the middle of the talk that you're doing. Yes. So the way I do this drawing is super low tech. By the way, don't let tech get in the way of your business. Never let tech get in the way of your business. I always do drawing just from the emails that have been sent, and just pull them up from my email. So, all right, awesome. I am seeing people responding. So I'm going to give you just another minute. I'm going to tell a story to close out, and then I will do the drawing. So 11 years ago, I owned a different business. One where I was very busy instead of strategic. It was killing my soul. I didn't know how to get out of it. Some of the people describe feeling the same way about corporate America, and didn't know what to do next. But I dragged myself to a meeting, something like this. And in the middle of the presentation, one sentence changed the trajectory of my life. So make sure that you never underestimate the work you're doing and the impact it can have. Here's the sentence I got. A major source of unhappiness in the world is settling for what is passable instead of reaching for what is possible. I'm always hoping that I maybe give a little inspiration for what is possible, but what I want to do even more so than that is to give you the tools and the perspectives that will make those possibilities, those big dreams, your reality a little bit sooner. Okay. So with that, I'm going to pick a winner from my inbox right here. Floss Andrews is our winner. Floss, woohoo! All right, Floss, if you would please send me your mailing address exactly how it's structured, since where are you from?
I'm from Norfolk in England.
Okay, fantastic. If you would write it like exactly how you would see it on an envelope, that would be super helpful for me, since it's a different structure than we put our addresses together in America. So thank you. So another email, send that to me. We'll take care of you. Okay. I felt like at the end, I was just like fire hose. What I would like to do now is go back into the chat, go up to where Ginger put in her introduction and start right below that to start giving feedback. Everybody on board with that? And we can do Q&A and work from there. Okay. Fabulous. I just have to scroll back. Okay. Let's see. So Helen, let me see, is Helen still on? Helen, there you are. Yes. Okay. I'm hired by women who are unhappy with their appearance and who want to feel comfortable in their own skin so they can be completely confident and be themselves in all aspects of their life. Ooh, I love the gist of it. I love the gist of it. So in the first part, I would probably change the way you say this, the way you express the same concepts. So this is something to understand, is that what you're doing in an introduction is you're actually developing the core concepts of your business. The three things that are, usually it's the three things that are most important to your ideal client: their pain point, their desires, their issues, and so on. So if we were to come up with three things, the three things has to do with appearance and comfort in their skin. That's number one. Confidence is number two. So it's, I think I would probably go unhappy with appearance. Second one is confidence. And then third one might be something about like really having the life you want. Like there's something that they're not doing because they don't feel comfortable. So it's like, what's the big life they want? The idea of having three concepts expands far beyond the introduction. Let me tell you a story. I was having a website built for me, and this was about 10 years ago. And my web designer, who's brilliant with words and messaging, she gave me a first draft of the first page. And I was scrolling down the page and it says, this is perfect for you if you've been feeling like this. If you haven't been able to do this, and it was the same thing repeated over and over, but just in different ways. Like, you do want this, you don't want this, example, example, example. And so I went back to her and like, hey, Rachel, and I felt embarrassed for her. I said, Rachel, you kind of just repeated yourself. I don't know if you noticed that the whole time. And she said, yes. When you hit upon the three things that are most important to your ideal clients, you stick to those. You can express them in different ways, lots of different ways, but you stick to them. A lot of times we try to like say all the things that people might be going through just to capture them up. But when you do that, you lose a lot of other people. Stick to the core. Stick to the core, repeat them in a lot of different ways, and they are going to relate more. So in the first part of this, probably what I would say is I'm hired by women who, first of all, okay, so this is another thing about this is, let's say you're in a room full of people, a room full of women. Let's pretend we get into rooms full of women anymore. And you say, hi, I'm hired by women who are unhappy with their appearance. I mean, there's not a lot of people who are gonna be like, right in front of everybody, all their friends. It's not gonna happen. So it has to be phrased in a way where it's acceptable and not embarrassing. So I'm hired by women who they're feeling a little uncomfortable in their own skin. They want to be happier about how they look and how they feel in their clothes. Actually, I did that wrong, but that's the tone. That's the tone. It's like they want something, but you put it in a way that is a little more publicly acceptable. Now, the difference is that's the public expression of your messaging. Privately, in an email or on your website, do you feel like crying every time you look in the mirror? I mean, you can take it that far, because when they're alone, that's tapping into, and I don't know if those are the right words, but I'm trying to show the extreme. So for an introduction, let me try this again, see if I can riff off something here. Let me ask you something, Helen. Are your people, are they successful in other areas of their life generally?
Yes, although dissatisfaction with how they look is starting to eat away at their confidence in other areas of their life. Yeah.
Ooh, the way you said that was just brilliant. Okay, so I have another version of an introduction, which is the good but bad. Okay, so that yours could sound something like, I'm hired by women who are very accomplished, but they're feeling about their appearance and their comfort in their skin is so low that it's really starting to erode their confidence. If you listen to the recording, we're at about an hour and 5 minutes. I would go back and listen to the exact words you said, because they were perfection. They were perfection. And then the second part is what they want. What they want is to feel confident to be themselves in all aspects in their life, so they can, why is it? So they can go get a promotion, and it may not be something that specific. It may be so they can really go after big dreams, so they can really be present with their family, so they can really stop feeling guilty about something. The so you can is developing the benefits of what they really want. Because like my clients, yes, they want more clients. That's why we get together. But ultimately, like, clients is not the thing. It's either impact in the world, it's earning money, and even those things it's a feeling of self-satisfaction, it's a feeling of being connected, it's a feeling of being able to be there in a contributing way to their family so they can go on vacation. There's something beyond it. So Helen, is that helpful? And is there anything else?
Yeah, I mean, I've been struggling with this for months, to be honest, to get my wording. But your observation about what people will admit to publicly and privately is spot on, and I think that's where I am struggling. You know, what you can say when you're in a public forum and what they really feel.
And I think the expression "comfortable in their own skin" is very. You can say it in public. And here's the thing: still, people are not going to be like, me. But like last year, okay, so company, it works, multiple six figures. I mean, like, I'm succeeding. You know, I'm succeeding. Last year, I was having health issues, and so my confidence in what was going on in my world, it was very skewed by my lack of energy. And so I could have very easily said, yeah, you know, I'm not comfortable in my skin. That would have been okay. I would have been able to admit that. I may not have done it in public, but I might have talked to you afterwards because I would have been like, yeah, I'm there. Right. So last thing for Helen is pick your words and then stick with them. Pick your words, stick with them. And don't trust people who aren't your ideal clients and who aren't experts in messaging to give you feedback. One last story on this, and that is working with a great coach consultant in the San Francisco Bay Area. We worked on our messaging. We got it absolutely mind-blowingly brilliant. And then the next day, she goes on a walk with two of her friends. One of her friends is her ideal client, like ideal client, right? The other one is a first grade teacher, not her ideal client. So she's walking along, she goes, hey, let me run this by you. She tells them the introduction. Ideal client is like, wow, I know people, let's talk. Her non-ideal client says, I don't understand. She comes to the call. What do you think she says to me? I think I need to change it. No. The introduction, what is the goal? Identify if your ideal client is standing in front of you right now. So if someone doesn't understand it, it's not like you go, you have a conversation, obviously, but you want to start with the internal experience of your ideal client. So, all right, Erin, it's so good to see you. All right, feel free to pick this one apart. I'm hired by emerging and evolving leaders who are overwhelmed with uncertainty and who want clarity so they can enjoy more influence, impact, and income. Okay, I love influence, impact, and income. It's a little like go on your homepage of your website rather than conversational. So let's see. So if your ideal client, if you sat down with them, would they describe themselves as an emerging and evolving leader?
To be fair, no. No, I'm supposed to use plain language.
Yeah, yes, good. What about leaders at all levels?
Yeah, that would work.
Okay. Up and coming and experienced is another way to say it.
Yeah, that's also good.
Yeah, emerging and evolving. Yeah, it's way like I don't get a picture of that. I said up and coming leader, that's me. Experienced leader, that's me. Leaders at all levels. I actually don't like leaders at all levels because it's a little like yuck. Or you can literally just say, I work with leaders, because the description of what they're going through is what's more important than where they are in their experience level.
Right. I'm trying to grab those. I want to be a leader, and I'm so overwhelmed I don't even know how to get there, folks, too, because it's that middle bracket. It's the I'm moving into leadership, or I'm an influential leadership. So I'm not administrative, I'm influential, but I'm not yet an executive. It's not that I don't coach executives. I do. That's
right.
not my sweet. That's not my sweet spot. That's what I prefer to coach.
Yeah. Okay, so your homework is to go to the recording at 9 minutes, at 1 hour and 12 minutes. And the way you just described is really perfect, because it's not about the level, but it's what they're experiencing. You're hired by leaders who are, okay, I may have another thought on this, but you're hired by leaders who are overwhelmed, who are ambitious, or something about like, I'm going to do the good but bad with you, because I think that will really work. I work with leaders who they're ambitious, they're ready to get to the next level, but they're so buried in the minutia of the day to day, they can't seem to make progress or even focus. And what they want is clarity. How do they get to that next level with everything else going on, so they can get that next promotion and be that influential leader they want to be?
How about I'm hired by leaders who are ambitious high achievers, but are so overwhelmed and not quite sure how to see the clarity they need so they can enjoy more rhetoric and influence.
It's closer, but I would ambitious or high achieving, because if you say ambitious, it's got to be high achieving. If they're high achieving, they're also ambitious. You don't need both. So just which would your ideal client resonate with?
High
more?
achievers.
Okay. You might say overachievers.
That's spot on.
Yeah. I'm hired by overachievers who I'm hired by.
Would they self-identify? Sometimes I have to walk them in to understand that they are an overachiever. They'll identify very quickly with high achievers, but the overachiever part, they just feel like, oh, well, that's the way you're supposed to do it. So they blinded by the obvious, right? I mean.
Yeah, I did a really fun exercise before I rebranded. Okay, I think it's fun. Get ready for something really nerdy. So I made a spreadsheet. Fun spreadsheet. Yes, I know. Across the top, I wrote all of the different things I could think of that I think my ideal clients want, don't want, identify with. Characteristics, thought. So for me, for instance, a plan, more clients, impact, overwhelm, time management. I just like everything I could think about how they feel. And I just listed everything. I probably had at least 20 ideas. Then I took all of my clients back to the beginning of time, who were examples of my ideal clients, and I listed them over on the left-hand side. And then I went across and I said, okay, I'm sitting down with Erin in our very first meeting. Which of these things did she say? And I just clicked them off. And it didn't have to be the exact words sometimes, but plan. And what came out was very surprising to me, because I thought everyone was all about impact. And what I found that everyone I attract, impact is born and bred into them. So we're not talking about that. They already know that. We don't have to go there. What they want is more money, a plan, more clients. It was very interesting to me. So you might take going back to past clients and pulling out any notes you took from initial sales conversations is just gold.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, because I think you hit something on the head there with a plan. Because with high achievers, they're typically planners.
I love it. And it's so simple, but it doesn't sound sexy enough, does it? A plan. Yeah. But all right, I'm going to try to get to a few more. It's amazing to see you. We really, truly, I mean it, need to catch up. So email me and I will get you a link to just chat. Okay. Okay. All right. So Flora or Floss?
My real name's Flora, but everyone calls me Floss.
Floss. Okay. All right. I'm hired by people in the football industry who love their job, but are defined by it and live in constant fear of losing it and cannot show weakness. They want to be confident and not defined by their job, so they have a future inside or outside football. Okay. So you've used the dirty word or, so I know you already know that. You already know that correction. This is excellent. This is excellent. It's a little bit long. I think you can, like, you've repeated concepts that can be pulled down a little bit. I would probably take out cannot show weakness. It's a public thing that you wouldn't be able to really express that in public. And I think it's not necessary either, because they already have internalized that. It's like my concept of impact. They've internalized it. You don't need to call it out. Okay. What they want. Okay, so you have the concept of being defined by their job. So I would recommend using it either in the beginning or the end, not both, because it's something you include the concept. I think it's smart. I think your ideal client will probably relate to it and identify with it, which is what you want, but you don't need to say it twice. Okay. So who love their job, but live in a constant fear of losing it. Yeah, or they're overly defined by their job or overly reliant.
So that's the thing about the football industry, is that it's amazing, but it eats you up.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So passionate about football. Yeah. What they want is, so what is it that they want to be confident about?
I guess it's what they are. So my problem is that I have a few different ideas of my ideal client, and I'm trying to put it into one message. Mm-hmm. So one of my ideal clients would be a director of a football club who's lonely and has no one to share ideas with, because everyone at their level is so busy and they don't want to show weakness. Another client is a football player who's coming to the end of their playing career and is frightened about what's next, because everything that they've ever done has been given to them, defined sort of for them, and suddenly they're not playing football. Who are they?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so here I would recommend doing an exercise where you write down, okay, we've got the football player, we've got the manager, did you say, or director?
Yeah, directors.
Right. And write down everything, like the kind of things that you're hearing in a first conversation. Just write down everything for two separate pieces of paper, by the way, just to really mentally split the two apart. And write down one, brainstorm everything over here, and then you're going to look for the overlap. I will share with you what I hear. A feeling of isolation, which publicly is very easy to admit to. A feeling of what's next, like a fear of what's next. I think there's an overlap there. And losing one's identity into football. I really think those three things are going to be your overlap. Double check, because I have 3.5 minutes of expertise on your ideal client. So your reality and your experience overrides what I come up with.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, I'm going to do, I think, one more, and then just wrap us up. All right, Linda. Is Linda still here? Yes, there she is. I'm moving my little window around, and it is always covering the face of the person who I'm going to next. All right, Linda, why don't you say it? I want to hear it.
Okay, hi. So I'm hired by women who are experiencing issues with low self-esteem, anxiety, and health issues, and who want to feel better in themselves so that they can live more fulfilling and expansive lives.
Okay, for this, it just gets a little, it's a little bland. It is going to just fade into the woodwork. So let me ask you a few questions. I'm going to pull out some better words from you because I know they're there. Okay, so when someone comes to you and they sit down with you, What are they bitching about?
I think it varies quite a lot at the moment. So it can be lots of different things. It can be about kind of anxiety in their work or in their social lives. It could be about like not having enough energy to do the things they want to do, not having a sense of purpose,
Okay.
or just like not feeling confident
Okay.
in various contexts.
Is this something new? Were they going along, everything's okay, and now it's like, wait a minute, now I'm feeling not confident, or is this something they've been dealing
it's often things that it's often something that they've been dealing with for a long time.
Okay, great. That is a great piece. So I'm hired by women who have suddenly realized that the anxiety and the lost feeling, they've been tolerating it for way too long. Oh, okay, yeah, that your ideal client is going to go, yeah, this is coming to the forefront, and they're missing out on things that are important to them, what they want. So when they come to you, what do they say? What do they think they need to do? Even if it's wrong, even if they come to you and say, you know what, I really know that I just need to drink banana milkshakes, you know, it doesn't matter if it's wrong. What is it they're coming to you and saying? I
just need to change something about themselves. Yeah.
Okay, how about, oh, go ahead.
No, sorry.
No, I was going to say, do they put the responsibility on themselves? Like, I should know this,
Yeah,
I should do better. Okay, so they beat themselves up. So what they want is to stop beating themselves up. And instead, do they want help? Are they like, yes, I'm looking for help. Your ideal clients are looking for help. Okay, so what they want is to stop beating themselves up, get help, to find real solutions that feel authentic and allow you to move forward and accomplish what you really want to accomplish. Okay, that last part went a little bit not as great, but that's the feeling. Okay, so your homework also 1 hour 25 minutes, maybe go back to this because there were some good phrases. One of the things I wrote down a few things just before you started to fill out, that they might be feeling lost. They might be feeling like they're holding back. Those are some, like, you're trying to get to those broader expressions. And this is one of the interesting things I think about really excellent messaging, that it is this strange combination of like pinpoint accuracy and open to interpretation. Yeah. So it is absolutely accurate that your people are feeling lost. And underneath that lost umbrella is anxiety, stress, you know, there's all these things. So it can be interpreted to their situation.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's really helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome. That was awesome. All right, let's see. Okay, that was everybody. And look at that, we're at time. Any last questions, comments, best takeaway, any good things before we hop off?
So one of the things we actually like to do, Mary, at the end of these sessions is give everybody 1 minute to write down what their biggest takeaway was from the session and record it as CPD, so continuing professional development. So just having a minute and thinking, what action are you going to take as a result of today? And then share it in the chat box because it's really useful for Mary in terms of feedback. So I will just set a timer now for 1 minute for everybody to do that.
Okay.
Okay, so that's the 1 minute up. We've got a couple of takeaways in the group, in the chat. Mary says hers is always time presentations an hour, even if we have more time available. Eileen's going to revisit her ideal client statement, make it deeper. Still not sure how to find them though. Usually when you do your message, you'll start to attract them because your message will be the right one. So Mary's given you some great tips on that when you dive deeper. And mine was it. So spreadsheet. Anyone else got any other? I can see a couple of people are just typing in the chat box any extra takeaways, because we will give this chat to you, Mary, afterwards, so that you've got the information for yourself. Work on your messaging, target your ideal client, assess and evaluate, and define ideal client, work on messaging, improve packages. Brilliant. Better understanding how to build a crystal clear message about what I do that will resonate with my ideal client. Brilliant. Lovely. Well, thank you very much for being here live with Mary today. You will get a copy of the replay that will go out on the blog over the next few days, and so you can go back and listen to everything again. And as Mary's done, she's pinpointed for different people on certain times, so go back to those times and listen to other people's as well, because she's shared some amazing gems there that can help you, because our message changes over time as well. So this won't be the one time that you do this. I'm sure you'll end up doing it again and again, so it would be really useful for you to keep you know, parked somewhere on your desktop so that you can go back and review it. I think Mary's shared some incredible gems with you today. So that's it from us. Thank you very much for being here. Enjoy the rest of your day, evening, afternoon, wherever you are in the world. And we look forward to sharing another CPD business building webinar with you at a later date.
Oh, Ross, thank you. Okay, bye.
When will the recording be available?
A few days, I would imagine. It usually goes up on the blog post within a few days. So,
okay, brilliant. I will revisit it again. So,
perfect.
thank you. Cheers. Thank
you.
you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Helen. Bye, Eileen.
Thank you. Bye.